What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be showing you how to rebuild a CV style drive shaft, or as I think another name for it is a Reassembly or something weird, something to that effect. But we're just going to call it a CV style for sake of ease. This exact one is out of a 2000 four-wheel drive Dodge Dakota. I know that a lot of the Dakotas, the Durangos, and the Jeeps, a lot of those have this style, but if you have this style in general, it should be pretty much the same steps. We've got a regular U-joint on this end, and a CV style here. This one bolted to the front axle, and this is the transfer case side. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take this apart to inspect the splines on the shaft to see if it's rebuildable or not. You can get a rebuild kit for, you know, 40 to 100 bucks. A new drive shaft run about 300. So I'm going to take this apart now before I order my parts, because I don't want to order a rebuild kit only to find out the shaft is junk. So go ahead and take this apart, see what we're dealing with. Alright, so the first thing I've done is I've put it in the vise here. I didn't reef down on the vise at all. I didn't want to pinch the drive shaft, because if you do that, you can cause a vibration in your drive line if it gets out of balance. So make sure not to tighten it too much. First thing we're going to do is come in here and undo this metal clamp. I use like a side cutter. Might have to get something else because I'm limited to range of motion here, but let's see what we can do. It's got that little finger right there. We got to work it over. There we go. Not sure if the rebuild kit comes with these or not, so I'm going to try to save this one. Pull it off of there. Alright, now the next step, now that I have that off, is we're going to take this dust shield off that keeps all the grime out of the bearing here. So I'm going to use a hammer and a flat chisel. Gonna stick it in here and kind of just hammer and work our way around. Ting! Alright, and you can see this pile of rust that fell out. Our bearings are totally shot. It's drier than a popcorn fart up in there. No bueno. Actually, you can see there's supposed to be a snap ring running around here, and the one ear is broke off. Here's a better shot with the light on so you can see snap ring. So I'm gonna go get a snap ring pliers, try to get this thing off. Might have to use a flathead to kind of pry this portion off since the one ear is broken off. Alright, so I've got just a pair of, I guess you would call it external snap ring pliers. They open when you squeeze them rather than coming together. So we're going to go ahead and stick the end into there. And since this end is missing, we're just going to do the best we can. Try to spread it a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't hit me in the face. There it goes. Gone forever. As you can see, this thing is just shot. So it's only a matter of time until that came apart. Now, what you want to do here is check this for like twisty play, because that's going to tell you if your splines are worn out. This one's got a little bit of play, but not much. I think we're going to be alright. You might have to use a hammer to knock this off. Alright, there we go. Now we've got this off. You can see the pile of dust here. Pile of rust all over the place. You can see the rubber boot was ripped here. That's probably why this failed. The rubber probably ripped. Water got in there, chewed up the bearings, and it just escalated from there. The next step is going to be, I'm going to take this remaining chunk of rubber off, and I have to use a little flathead. You can cut it off if you want to, just don't stab yourself. Stretch that thing. There we go. Alright. Now I'm going to take some brake clean. You don't have to do this. It just helps inspect it a little bit better. Get real clean. Brake clean it off. Get a rag in there. Make sure to go all the way around the shaft. Check out the whole thing. Make sure you don't have any smashed, twisted, rounded out splines. These look good enough. We're going to try to get away with just a rebuild kit. So now that I know this is good, I'm going to go ahead and ask my buddy which kit he wants, since this is his drive shaft. We're going to order up the kit. I'll post a couple different kits down in the description below. I'll post a drive shaft possibly, and then a couple different rebuild kits depending on your price range. So we'll get back to it once the kit shows up. Alright, so we ordered the Chinese kit. It was about 40 bucks. This is what all comes in it. Got a little gasket here, which if you look at this bearing carrier piece, it's smooth on one side and it has kind of a recess on the other, which that's where the gasket's going to go. So we're going to start assembling this. Basically I took the old one and looked at it to see how that one went together, and you can see that the gasket faces downwards towards this non-pass-through cap. So I'm going to take this cap, pause it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is, it came with this tube of grease and this little accordion guy. We're going to squeeze some into the bearings. We're not going to totally overdo it because it'll just sling all over the place, and we want to be able to get that gasket in. I'll put the cap back on for now and just kind of smear it down into the bearings. And any that you get on this gasket surface, we're going to wipe it off so the gasket can make a good seal. You can also push on the bearing and rotate it a bit if you have to kind of get in and get the bearings from different angles. Whoop. Be careful not to lose any of your bearings. They may be able to pop out. Do it over a clean surface and over a big area just in case you do drop it, so you don't lose your bearings. We're going to pack a little bit more in this side. Make sure we got it good. Alright, we've got it all packed with grease on this one side, so now I'm going to go ahead and just wipe off on the edge here where the gasket's going to ride. You might have to take out one of your bolts. You can just leave it. And put it through the bolt hole to get some of the grease out, if it may have gotten in there. And we're just going to keep cleaning that. Alright, so I've got the gasket mating surface all clean. Now we're going to go ahead and flip it over, and we're going to grease this side as well. Every little nook and cranny. The more lube, the better. Alright, now that we've got the bearings packed on this side, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing, kind of clean up where the cover is going to sit. Now if you didn't get this kit, or your kit didn't come with grease, you can just use some wheel hub or bearing grease. I'll put a link in the description to some of that. So we verified that our shaft splines are good. We're going to go ahead and put this. This is the first piece that goes on. I'm going to use a little bit of this Sil Glide. I'll put a link in the description for that too if you'd like to get some of that. I use this basically for any sort of lube for putting on O-rings, anything rubber. It's basically designed for brake caliper rubber boots to keep them from sticking, and the caliper slide pins, but I'm going to use it here just on the inside of this to help get it on. So we are going to have to stretch it a little bit. Now you can reuse the old metal band that came with your shaft, or this kit provided a new band. We're going to use that one If you don't have any of these, you can probably just use a plastic zip tie to go around here and then just cut the excess off. But we're gonna go ahead, put the metal band on first, and then try to get this rubber on. I have to twist, so it'll help a little bit. There we go. All right, now we take the part that doesn't have the gasket groove and put it that way towards this. It doesn't matter how you put it on as long as the bolt holes line up, but we can rotate this, so that shouldn't matter. On there like that. And now we can use something like a channel lock, and once we get the holes lined up, which I'm going to use 2 bolts for, so we don't have to do this again, rotate. Like that. I'll use the pliers to pull the 2 pieces together, keep everything together. Alright, now you should be able to see the groove for the snap ring here. If you can't, take a paper towel or a rag, clean the grease out of the groove that the snap ring is going to sit in. So you can see there's the ridge, the slot. Alright, so we've got our snap ring, new one, snap ring pliers. Don't lose this puppy. Spread it out just enough. You don't want to overextend it because then it might not stretch back. And then give it a little shove with a screwdriver till you hear it click. Like that. See both sides locked in. And I usually give it a good spin if I can, which I might not be able to on this one. Something like that. Make sure it's fully in the groove all the way around. Alright, so I've gone ahead and I've put some grease on just the inner dish of this non-pass-through cap. I'm not going to put any here because that's where it's going to seal. And I didn't put any in the center because the shaft comes through there and there's a hole, so the grease would just shoot out anyway. So we're going to go ahead and take the gasket, line it up here where the little half moons of the gasket cut out line up with the bolt holes. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 bolts through this cover to keep everything lined up. Just like that. And now we're going to use the channel locks again to pinch everything together. Alright, now if you're using this style clip, there's a special tool for it, but if you don't have it, basically what you'll have to do is you'll put it around the rubber piece down here, and you'll have to come in pretty much with a flathead screwdriver with this piece, and you'll use it to push in like that. And it's not very easy. You push on it until you've got your little nub there locked in. But we're going to use the one that came with it, which is a lot easier. Again, you can use a zip tie, just go around this if you're worried about it. But we're going to use this one. Basically all you do is pull on it, which is going to be fun because grease all over my hands. But it just tightens up like that. And once you get it tight, we'll bend over this tab and that tab and crush that down so it can't come loose. I'm going to try to use a flathead here to kind of bend these tabs over. Be careful that you don't stab yourself with the screwdriver or whatever you're using. All right, now I'm gonna get a punch and hammer right there and hammer right here to do the final pinch down. There's one. And two. Now we're just gonna use a side cutter and cut the rest of this off. Still going. I have to give her a little bit of a twist. It is a fairly stout band. If you have a better way to cut it off, use it. But that's that. Everything's put together. Everything moves, nothing binds. So now we're good. We're ready to put it back into the vehicle. Again, this is out of an 02 Dodge Dakota. If you happen to be using, putting this in a different vehicle, same concept as long as it has this end on it. And if you remove the shaft, you probably know how to put it back in. So that concludes this video. If this helped you out, make sure you hit like, subscribe for more like this, and check me out on Facebook at Tony the Truck Guy.